So I said, I want that one. I said, Dad, I want to buy an airplane. He said the same thing my mom did when I said I wanted to fly. He's like, no, you can't own an airplane. And I told him why, and I persisted, and I said, I want to buy this airplane, it's exactly what I want. And I got through to him because he calls me one day at work. During the summer, I was working there full time. And he says, I found an airplane just like the one you want. I said, really? He said, yeah, it's a project, it's in a guy's shed. He's had it for 40 years, and it's just been sitting there, collecting dust, and it's full of Christmas decorations and everything. And so Max says, oh, who owns the plane? And I said, a guy named Jerry Rader. And Max spits out, he always drank his iced tea, and he just spits it out, and it gets all over the papers, it gets on me. Now I've got iced tea on me, and it's dripping from his like little white beard. And I'm like, that's disgusting. And he's like, what? And I'm like, what? And he's like, buy the airplane. I'm like, okay. So we drive down to Linwood, we go buy this airplane. And all the money I had saved up from fishing, and some of my dad's money I spent on this thing with no idea how I'm going to fix it, how long it's going to take to fix it, where I'm going to get the parts. But I just decided this is what I wanted, and nothing's going to stop me from accomplishing it. And this is something I decided when I was 15. And then when I was also in high school, I was doing woodshop projects. I was really hands-on. And I made this table for Adam, who owns that nice airplane, as a gift. This was my airplane in '74. And that guy's name is Bob, who's standing in front of it. And he ended up crashing this airplane right in the water behind him a couple months after this photo was taken. And he didn't die or anything, but the airplane sank to the bottom of the river and had to be recovered back out with like a forklift or like a backhoe and drugged back up. So he totaled it. I mean, he basically totaled the thing. And that's what a total airplane looks like. So it's not looking too good, is it? No? It's ugly? Oh. Yeah. It's kind of ugly. And there's me when I was 15. You saw that photo earlier, but I was 15. I'd spent every penny I had on this ugly airplane. But I had such a passion for it. I felt like, oh, it's going to be ready in a year. I'm going to fly this thing. I want to fly it all over and take all my high school friends for rides and everything like that. So we hauled this airplane back to Anacortes on a trailer. And we stuff it in the hangar. Oh, and there's Mac. He's helping us load it up. That's what Mac looks like. Is that kind of what you guys pictured, or is it even worse? Yeah, he's been around a while. And actually, yeah, he is actually drinking iced tea in that photo. You see a little straw there. It's just a constant supply of tea or Coke. So we haul it back to Anacortes, and I get him to fix it. But I have Mac there, and I'm using his tools, and he's mentoring me a little bit. And we wind up at this point. So now the airplane's all disassembled. I just want to sit in it because I'm excited. So I look like a dork, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm a proud owner of my ugly airplane. And all my friends are like, let's go hang out on Saturday. And I'm like, no, I'm working on my airplane. Well, that was Sunday, I'm working on my airplane. And every day it's like, you're working on your airplane? Yeah, I'm working on my airplane. When's it going to be done? Oh, in a year. And it's always going to be a year. And the next year they ask me, when's it going to be done? It's going to be done in another year. So it took a lot longer than I thought it would. And I missed out on some social opportunities, but I was always working on my airplane. I was always making progress towards something I really wanted. Like you people who know you want something, and I'm going to say like probably a lot of you haven't started on it. I was one of the few people who started, and said, tomorrow I'm starting on it, and every day made a little more progress toward it. So that's what I did all through high school. And I'm really glad I did, because if I hadn't made the decisions I did when I was 14, I wouldn't be speaking to you guys today. And I want you to keep that in mind as you hear the rest of this presentation. Is that the decisions you make right now are just as, if not more important, than the ones you make when you're 20 and 21. When you're 14, it's about doing things, and then when you're 20 and some, it can shift and be not about not messing up. But right now, you guys have such a good opportunity to start doing things. It's not going to get any easier. And that's something I realized that I had luckily stumbled into doing, not unconsciously. I hadn't made that conscious decision, but it just kind of happened for me. Now, I kept flying while I was building my airplane. I kept learning to fly because I still wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a pilot, I wanted to be a mechanic, I wanted to be an airplane, I wanted to be Howard Hughes, or I wanted to be an airplane guy, I wanted to be Howard Hughes, if you know who he is. I wanted to do everything airplane. So, greatest day of my young life is when I was 16, my 16th birthday. Your 16th birthday is when you're allowed to fly an airplane solo for the first time. Alone, completely alone, if your instructor says it's okay. You have to have some training before that, but you can fly alone. How many years 16? Cool. Right. Or 16 or older. So, I'm alone in this airplane, which gets off of the ground way faster, because there's no, my instructor was a pretty heavy guy, and he's not in there, so it just jumps off the ground, and I'm flying alone, my first solo, greatest day of my life, and then I was kind of ashamed because my mom didn't come pick me up, because I didn't have a driver's license yet. Yeah, I know, that's a lot of ironic, right? I just flew all over the highway, all over the city, but I'm not allowed to drive on it. A little backwards there, but that was fine. I like to say that. But I was a pilot at this point. I was so proud of myself to become a pilot, and this was one of the great high points and a memory I still treasure because it was so special to me to do that. Continued disassembling my airplane, replacing the parts that had been damaged, which was actually like all of them. There's 22 pieces on the airplane. I replaced 18 of them. So then that's all the new metal you can see back there, the silver. We're just replacing it as we go forward. And ended up the whole belly, the whole top, everything but that window piece was changed. Things are going pretty good at the flight school, working, flying, working my airplane, and then their airplane crashes upside down in a field, and they ended up going out of business. That screwed that flight school up pretty bad. So now, my hangar little life is over because now I have an airplane. I have no hangar to put it in. It's not like I can fly it or tie it down. I can't fly anywhere. I'm just stuck. But since I've been showing up for work every day, a guy took notice at the airport and he says, I'll make you a deal. You be my slave and I'll let you be in a hangar. And you have to be my slave for 15 hours a month to work off hangar rent. And I was like, okay, I have no other option, so I said, okay. And it seemed like all the work I did was yard work, was always in the rain. So I was stacking firewood in the rain. I was pressure washing in the rain. I was cutting down trees in the rain. I don't know why it was always in the rain, but it was. Or it was way too hot. There was no in between. It was never nice. So I'm always working for this guy, and I end up moving the airplane into his hangar. That's his hangar. Now I have no tools. I have no Mac. I don't know anything. Not even a shop table. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had a little money, and I bought a toolbox, and I bought some tools, and then I started making airplane parts into furniture to sell them to buy the tools to build the airplane. And so I just really had to get resourceful when things kind of took a bad turn to keep going. Because I decided when I was 15, I'm never going to sell the airplane, which means I have to finish it. And this is something I have to do. So no matter what it takes, I just did what I had to do. So you can see in that last picture, the fuselage is pretty much done. I mean, it doesn't look as ugly as it did before. And now we're ready to go work on the wings. So drill the wings apart and slowly rebuild those, which are even harder than the airplane because they're like this wide. And you can't get your arm in there. And they were bent in half and just a total mess. And those took me about a year to finish. And while I was finishing those, I graduated high school. Do you guys want to guess what my senior project was? Yeah. This is a flight over the mountains, which I drove over. It took me 7 hours to get here, driving. We flew this airplane on this particular day to Deer Park in an hour and 20 minutes, and back in an hour and a half. So I really wish I was flying today and could enjoy these beautiful mountains. And just the joy of flying, like I told you, is freeing. It's It was the best day of my life the first time I flew on it. It seems to be the best day of my life every time I fly since then. And that's something I want to show you guys, is at least one photo of what it looks like to fly in our state. And how many of you guys knew the mountains look like this from above? You ever seen a photo from above? Okay, about half of you. And now all of you do. And this is breathtaking. When it's 360 degrees around you, it's completely breathtaking. The snow is one of the most beautiful things we have in the state. Anyway, more progress is being made on the plane. Flight school's gone, not flying. And I rebuilt the first wing, graduated high school, now I'm going on to college. And I get to college, and I decided to be an aircraft mechanic because I've been working on it for a while, and I'm like, this is kind of fun. So, any of you know how long it takes to become an aircraft mechanic at college? 2 years. 2-year technical degree. All right, any of you going to college? Raise your hand. Any of you going to trade school? How many of you are in a metal shop? Or wood shop? Okay, a few of you. Okay. So the 2-year technical degree for becoming an aircraft mechanic, I drove 60 miles each way every day to school, and it was kind of a drag. And I took the first board and I said, I know all this stuff, and I went to the dean, and I said, I want to take the final test, and he kind of laughed at me. He said, you want to take the final test? You're 18, you've been here for a quarter, and you think you're ready to graduate? And I said, yes. And he says, no. And I said, okay. And so I go to the FAA, so I basically went around him. Even though another person had told me no, like my dad did, and I figured out how to convince him. My mom did when I was flying, I figured out how to convince her. And the dean did, I just got him out of the picture. I went straight to the FAA, went into their office and told them, I want to take the final test. And she said, okay. You can take the final test, and she didn't really expect me to, but she said, if you don't pass, you're going back to school for 7 more quarters. And I couldn't afford to. I couldn't afford the drive, I couldn't even afford the gas. I couldn't afford the time that I was spending in school. And so I did nothing but study for 2 weeks. It was 2,600 questions of testing, and then 8 hours of hands-on working on airplanes to prove I knew it. I got 98% on my test. Needless to say, I passed. And I graduated college 7 quarters early. Didn't graduate college, never got to walk, but I just got, here you go, you're done. It was basically, here you go, you're done, never come back. Because they didn't even tell the other students that I finished, because they didn't want to tell them that. They didn't want anybody to know there was another way to do it that they weren't teaching. And that's something, it's not everything is a linear course. There's sometimes things you can do to change the situation you're in. And this gave me the opportunity, okay, cool. Now I can go to work and get a job working on airplanes and afford to build my airplane, because before that I was struggling. I couldn't make enough, there wasn't enough hours in a day to make money to work in airplanes. So I saved up enough money and I bought my engine. And now things are getting exciting because I got a 200 horsepower red engine. Red makes it more powerful, just so you guys know. It's a big debate, but it's true. Yeah, it looks cool, doesn't it? Not ugly. So I bought the engine, and we're getting really excited because it's finally come together. Finally got the airplane with the big engine on it, and the big landing gear. I made all the upgrades to the thing to make it the best airplane in the world. Because now I'm decided, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do the best one. So at this point, I'm building the best airplane. I'm starting to get some Facebook followers, and people are starting to follow me on the page I created. And I'm getting stoked. I'm designing my paint job and getting ready to go. And taking every job I can on the side just to get enough money. I'm trying to get this paint job. I really want to get this painted. And the last thing to do was fit the front, it's called a cowl, but it's kind of like a hood if you're talking about a car. And then I meet this girl, and everything gets better from then. I said, how much chocolate, because I didn't have a lot of money, but I had chocolate. And I needed to scrub the paint, or the plane out, scuff it to get ready for the paint to stick to it, right? And get all clean. And I said, how much chocolate do I have to give you to help me scrub my airplane from 9 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning for a week with acid? And she goes, oh, you don't have to give me any chocolate, I want to do it. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this girl's perfect, she's awesome. And so we do it. And the plane's all ready for paint. And I got my paint job all designed. And that's it. That's after we had stripped it all down. It looks pretty nice, right? Well, it's clean, huh? And then we put it in into the black pearl thing there, and this Pirates of the Caribbean booth, and we start painting it. And I made a deal with the painter, and I said, hey, I want you to knock 90% of the cost off if I do all the prep and you just spray the paint. Because the paint job was going to cost me $30,000. But it ended up costing me $5,000 because I did most of the work. And so bartering like that was another way to get what I wanted, but do most of it I could by myself. I get everything I wanted, even though it was a different way of getting it. Ultimately, I got the same result. And then the last thing I did was take it back to our hangar and assemble it. Now, when this was happening, I was kind of blowing off people I owed, like the guy who worked for hangar rent, right? I kind of ignored him, and I got in trouble. He wanted to keep me out of the hangar. That was good, right? And I also owed some people some money that I borrowed from, and I started to work on the airplane. I got so entrenched and so obsessed kind of with the completion of the airplane and painting it, obsessed, that I got actually really sick, and I lost like 40 pounds, and I got very, very sick to where it was, people were really concerned about me, and I promised that I would never do that again because I got just too focused, like almost tunnel vision on something. But what resulted happening is I don't actually remember painting the airplane because I was up for 20 hours a day for about almost a month doing the prep and the painting and the work and everything. And my tonsils actually had to be removed as a result of all this because I poisoned myself. And so that's one thing. If you just get too into something, it can impact you in a negative way. So there is a balance to things. But I'm very proud of the plane. How many of you like the paint job? You like it? How many of you don't like it? One? Okay. I would know. You put your hand down. All right. Cool. So what's my favorite color? Anybody guess?
Red.
Yes, red.
That's also my favorite.
I like the jacket. So, before I painted the plane, I made a little model to make sure I like the paint job, right? I don't want to waste all that money on the plane. Also got a cool model. And that's the plane today. Yeah, so we just got that big propeller on there. And that'll pull that plane at 150 miles an hour over these mountains. So if I come back here, I'll be here in like an hour, which would be really nice because the drive over here looked like a scene out of Run, Wrong Turn. But this is again like that feeling. I'm so elated and happy to have it complete and be scheduled to start it in January. Like we're ready to fly it. The interior is coming back around Christmas time. We're copying a Bentley. It's black leather with red stitching, and all that work I've done since I was 14 and 15 and 16 and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20 is, and never one day deciding just to quit because I could have out of those about almost 2,000 days, I could have just decided to quit one day and sell the thing. And I didn't, and now I have this. And January is such an important date because it's like I'm scheduling that, like now it's actually happening. Like I told you guys to write it down in my little question thing. Like if you schedule something, you make it real, and you stop dreaming in your head, then it'll kind of come to life. And just the result of putting it on paper, now you've done the first thing, you put it on paper, now we need to change that. And that'll create a mindset in you to start working on things, and eventually you'll just work on a little more. And then all of a sudden you'll find that you're spending so much time on it because you've just trained yourself to work on it and work on something you're passionate about. It doesn't matter if it's an airplane. To me, it doesn't matter if it's an airplane. I hope that some become pilots. But if it's an airplane, or if it's a new product, or a new shoe, or something that you want to create, or want the world to see, and you don't give up on it, then you'll have it, because life will only resist you until you know so many times. And what happens is when life tells you no and you don't care and you do it anyway, at least in my case, I wind up with a really pretty red airplane that people are trying to buy, and I keep saying, no, you're not going to you're not gonna buy it. Now it's not, my turn to say no. And it's my turn to be up here on stage and have people who were my age when I started this listening to me, because I've done it, and I know what it takes, and I know how hard it is to really focus on something you want and really get through the good times and the bad. And it really is something I could go on for about hours and really get in depth with a very long story about some times that were hard and some things that happened to me along the way. But the end result is never give up on a dream. If you want it and you never give up on it, then life will have no choice but to give it to you. And what I have for you, for being here, for being my audience today, is 15 points extra credit, but it's on a condition. And this is promised by Mr. Kernan. If you go to this page and you like it and you rate it, then you'll get your 15 points. I know some of you could use that, like some of you who were like me in school, like I was at 1.0, I'm just kidding, I like a 2.0, but no, if some of you want the extra credit or just want to follow the page and watch me like fly to every state, which I'm hoping to do, then please go to the page and like it. And also right now I want to ask you guys, do you have any questions for me? What's my favorite color? What I ate for breakfast? What was my favorite part of the airplane? Yes.
How much gas can you carry?
I can carry 54 gallons. Yeah, and I burn about 8.5 pounds an hour. So, and I go about 145 miles an hour, let's say, at cruise. So, what's not like 950 miles?
What's your favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
What's my favorite Pop-Tart flavor? When I was fishing in Alaska, the hours were brutal, and so what I really liked was a toaster strudel. I'm not gonna rhyme that. It's like the cinnamon chocolate one or the s'more. But we always ran out of s'mores, so we would ration the s'mores. So I guess the s'more was my favorite one. Yeah, what's your question?
How long did it take you to make the model?
The model? I had like somebody in China do that for me, but it was supposed to be back in 7 weeks, and it took them like 6 months. And I'm like, seriously, what the heck? And they painted it white, not silver, but it's pretty close. So yeah, wow, but it took me like a year and a half maybe to draw the paint job out on paper, right? And then I was like, I'm not gonna waste this money on the paint job if it doesn't look good like in 3D, right? So I was like, okay, make the model for, I think it was 150 bucks, and send it to me, oh, I like it, now let's copy it. So I had a little model sitting there while we painted the plane, right? It was like mini-me. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was cool. Funny thing is, everybody wants to know what my paint color is, or people are walking in my head and they're like, what color did you paint your plane? What color did you paint your plane? Like, what color red is that? Because I want it, and it's called Pulled Me Over Red. I know, I was between two colors. I was trying to choose between Adventure Red and Pull Me Over Red, and I'm like, I want to be able to say my planes Pull Me Over Red. So that was a lot of fun. Any more questions? Okay, yeah?
Out of everything, what was the hardest point in time for you?
Hardest point when I really, like rock bottom maybe? Okay, rock bottom was literally rock bottom. I had done a job and I got a harness on and I was belaying down a cliff to trim some bushes, and I ended up falling off over the water, and I fell through thorn bushes, and then I fell through stinging nettles, which got really awful. And then I slid over and I was hanging 20 feet above and 10 feet below this ledge, and I can't get up, I can't get down. And my only choice really was to drop this line, and I had a chainsaw around my neck, and I actually ended up getting cut a little bit from this. But I fell to the bottom of this cliff about 20 feet down onto the sand, and I kind of dropped and rolled. And then I was just dirty and wounded and everything, and I was like, is this worth it? And I'm like, yeah, it's worth it. And I did that for like $10 an hour, and that was the worst job. And I was inflamed from stinging nettles and everything, but I was able to buy something. Like, I don't even remember what did I buy? It was something I bought for exactly $100 like the same day. I was like, I want this, it's $100, and it was just brutal. So that was probably one of the hardest times when I was just doing anything I could for money, because it was, fishing didn't come through, and I was forced to just take these awful jobs. So that was rock bottom on the bottom of the rocks. And I'd come get picked up by a boat and everything. It was an ordeal. I would recommend that. I mean, go after your dreams no matter what it takes, but try to have a little more pre-planning so you don't get in a bad situation. For sure. Any more questions? Yep.
You plan on selling this?
No. No, people have offered. No, people have offered. I'll give it to like my kid or something if I have one. Well, they're not going to sell it. Okay, you know what? Nobody's selling my plane.
I'm marrying myself in.
People have offered to buy the plane. Trust me, for more money than I've seen in my life, and I keep telling them no. Yeah.
Are you still dating the girl?
Yes. She's right here. Stand up. Stand up. She gives me inspiration every day. Thank you. Right here? Okay. Not yet. Not yet. Anyway. Yeah, what's your question?
Talk about how much each part costs, like you did for.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then second thing, can you talk about what you're doing now for your job?
Right, okay, so I told that one, okay, what the heck? What? Yeah, okay. Yeah, one more, sorry, I've seen you, but. How did we meet? I walked into her store because I'm tall, if you didn't know. And I said, you sell tall, large shirts. I want to buy a black shirt. Black shirt? Do you wear V-necks? And I was like, no. And she's like, good, I don't like guys who wear V-necks. and I said, I'll just take these 2 black shirts. And then I was trying to like work up the nerve to ask for her number because I was really feeling it. I really thought she was cute. And I was trying to work up the nerve to asking for her number, and I was like, can I, she's like, want my number? I was like, yeah. Yeah, and I'm not too awkward, but she was, something was right, and we actually met up that night for coffee, and there was none of this waiting 2 days before text, dumb stuff. It's like, get to the point, I like you, let's date. That's exactly, basically, what it was, and I think there's some truth to that. If you guys think there is, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. There's some more hope for this. Because I was always grew up, it's like, wait 2 days before you text school or whatever. If you like somebody, just tell them, seriously. Okay, and then, that was your question, right? Okay, so how much each part cost? What happened? Okay. Are you coming back? Okay, the blue. So, let's just start with this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna throw it. It'll be live too, it's wood. So anybody want to guess how much the prop costs? $150? $2,000? We're getting closer. Not 20,000. 5,000? 20? No, it's not 25. It's between 10 and 20. Yeah, it's 15,000 for the prop. Yeah. Yeah, engine behind that was 30,000, and that was because I built it myself. If you buy that, it'd be 80. My point with, and then the airplane behind that is worth 30,000. But if you bought it brand new, like if you try to buy it online, it's probably 70. So people have offered me like almost 200 grand for the airplane. I say no, I'm not gonna buy it. Even though I don't have anywhere near $200,000, and I would love to have that. It's about not ever selling your dream, not giving up on your dream, because if I would have sold it, how cool of a story would that be? Like, I almost built an airplane and I sold it. Like, would I be here? Like, would I have any credibility? No. Not at all. It's not a story at all. So that's the thing. So, never give up on a dream. If somebody sells you money or offers to buy you out, or something like that. So, the airplane's pretty expensive. And then, since I built such a nice airplane, people say, oh, I want you to work on my airplane, and I want you to do this on my airplane. And now I actually get to do it professionally. So I wake up every morning at like 5 and go to work and work on somebody's airplane and then get off at some reasonable hour, like 2 or something like that, because I started so early, and go home and work on mine. And it's pretty nice because I put myself in a position where I'm a professional at doing it. I'm one of the people who does really good airplane work, and they're not easy to find. So I get to work the hours I choose, and I get to work on airplanes that I like doing, and it's now that the hard part of pushing through and accomplishing it, no matter how many no's life throws at you, it gets easier. You know, it gets a little easier at the end of it. And did anybody have any more questions for me? Are all of you going to go to that Facebook page and leave a review and give extra credit, please? Have you already done it? Because you can have your... Oh, really? For this class only? Okay. Well, if you guys still leave a review, then maybe it'll be...
I already did it.
Okay, good. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
I actually want to hear from your girlfriend because I think you downplay just how much like time and effort went into this. So I'd love to hear her thoughts on
Her-
just how obsessed you were with probably this.
By request, it was downplayed. She's like, this is your story.
No, I want to hear from her though. I want to hear
Okay, come on.
her perspective of this adventure with you.
I'm gonna go.
Come on.
I got
Okay, good. Okay, big round of applause for Samantha Hagan.
Thank you guys. Just to let you know, I do get nervous talking in front of a group of people. But Kyle, when I first met him and we were working on the plane together and he was painting it, I actually didn't know how sick he got. So he actually did downplay it a lot. He did. One day I looked at him and I was like, how much weight have you lost? He was like, I've lost weight. I'm like, are you okay? Have you been sleeping? He's like, oh, I actually, believe it or not, woke up and I coughed up blood. And I was like, okay, that's it. Like your dream is really important, but your health is more important.
Don't try trying to accomplish your dream.
Yeah, don't die trying to accomplish your dream. But do take note of the drive that he does have, because he does have a lot of drive. He has so much that it actually runs off to me sometimes. So go for what you want, follow your dreams, but be safe and smart about it. Is that what you wanted? Yeah. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, what's your question?
I wanted to ask this first period, and we ran out of time.
Yes.
I wanted to know, because one of the things that's hard with high school kids is being able to see that vision and being driven day while you're in high school. And I just want to know, when you were 14, when you decided this is what you want, how did that change what you were doing in school? And how you applied yourself? Or did it?
What's that?
Or did it?
When I was in school, like I said, like I slept through biology and everything, and that's not a good thing. Like, school is something that, you know, we standard learn, and I will never congratulate any of you for graduating high school, because I expect you to do that. That's the minimum you can do, is graduate. Okay, you don't have to go to college and trade school and all that, because maybe there's something else you'll do. But at least graduate high school. And so when I was in high school, having something to do after school was so important. And actually, I forgot to mention to you, Mac made me give him my grades. And if he was easy on me. If I was getting a D in anything, I wasn't allowed to come out. Actually, and then what happened was I was allowed to come out, but I had to do schoolwork at the airport. And until the paper was done, that like held me out of the D, then I wasn't allowed to. So if I had a D in something, I had to hang, I'd be like, oh, whipping through like this book report or whatever, and then be like, Mac, look, this is done, I'll get this many points for that, and they'd be like, okay, and then the D would change, and then I'd get back to work, right, if I had a C. So that's one of the things, like I had to focus because I wanted to go out to the airplane because I was so excited to go out and work on airplanes and fly airplanes and everything, and then I had to get good enough grades to be able to do it. So my focus definitely increased in school because of it. But I was also not sleeping. I was also not sleeping as much because I was in school, like drawing. I had a folder like this thick of paint designs, and only after a few years did I actually get to that one, which turned out so nice. And that was when I had gotten a little bit more creative and learned to incorporate different things besides just red with a black stripe. That was all the first, I have 100 of them, red with a black stripe. And so I was drawing, I was coloring and things. People were like, oh, you're coloring. What are you coloring? I was like, I'm drawing my airplanes. Do you have an airplane? I was like, yeah. I do. Well, the same thing happened when I went to the thing. I was like, oh, I want to do something project. What are you going to do? I'm going to build an airplane. Yeah, and they're like, do you have an airplane? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, here it is. And I scored really well on my senior presentation because my project was epic. It was. They were like, we're jaw dropped. Like people built a skateboard, or some people like learned to tap dance, and I built an airplane. Like it didn't look anything like it did in this video or anything. It was still before I met her, of course, before we had polished it up and made it look all pretty. But I built an airplane when I was 18, and it really impressed them. But yeah, for sure, having something extracurricular to do that felt like it was giving my life some purpose besides waking up and going to school and going to classes I didn't want to do. I lived to go to metal shop and wood shop, and as much as I could, I packed my schedule for the wood shop. And somehow I sat in the back of algebra class, and this is not even, I don't recommend this, but I sat in the back of algebra class, and then they would have to go find me because I'd sneak to wood shop to work on like my table, or metal shop people work on different parts. Yeah, it was a little different when I was doing it. So yeah, but as you know, the drive that I developed both in school and for what I was doing out of school is so important, and it's something I still have, and that she cherishes and sees me. Yeah, what's your question?
Whatever happened to Mac?
Mac? Okay, yeah, that was one of the hard things because when that flight school closed down, Mac moved to Arlington, which is 50 miles away. But he would come visit me like every Thursday and kind of guide me and show me what to do. So I had like an active mentor, right? And that was really important too. Like your mentor is the most important people that you can have, for sure, hands
Okay,
down.
Kyle,
Yeah.
we are out of time. You want to
Okay.
show that video quick, and then that's it?
We showed the video at the beginning.
Oh, you did? You already did?
Yeah.
Give it